count. You good?
Okay. I'm ready.
3, 2.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Free Thought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today's Sunday, August 30th, 2020. I'm Larry Rhodes, or Doubter 5. And as usual, we have on our show the co-host, Wombat. Hello, Wombat.
Hello, and a special shout out to everyone who is still dealing with the after effects of Hurricane Laura. Stay safe.
Yeah, for sure. Our guests today are J.W. Kennedy, Dread Pirate Higgs, George, Red Leader, and that's about it. Digital Free Thought Radio Hour is a talk radio show about atheism, free thought, rational thought, humanism, and the sciences. And conversely, we'll also talk about religion, religious faiths, gods, holy books, and superstition. And if you get the feeling that you're the only non-believer in Knoxville, well, you're just not. There are several atheist, free-thinking, and rationalist groups that exist right here in Knoxville, and we'll be telling you about them right after the mid-show breaks. Also, did you know that there was a streaming call-in video show / TV show broadcasting right here in Knoxville? Has been for over 10 years. Did you know that, Wombat?
I did research this time. I know all about it. Okay, so this is what it is. Family Matters.
3 years?
Well, I'm doing the math right now. It looks like it's about 11 years. It's a show called Family Matters. It's an American television sitcom that originated on NBC from September 22nd, 1989. It's known as a spin-off of Perfect Strangers. Did you know that? And it's about a middle-class African-American family living in Chicago, Illinois. It's amazing.
It's an atheist TV show.
What? You never tell me this.
Yes, I did. I told you that once or twice.
George, where are me? You're my info guy. You need to tell me stuff like this.
And we'll be telling you more details about how you can watch it, maybe even get involved after the mid-show break. If you'd like to interact with us during the show, go to Facebook and search for Digital Free Thought Radio Hour and use the messaging function to send us questions or comments. Wombat, what do you have for us today?
So last week we talked about death and how it can impact us and what we can learn from it. Today I want to bring it up a little bit and talk about why life is important. But before we get into the topic, I'll throw it up to our own Dread Pirate Higgs for our own weekly invocation. Ramen.
That's beautiful.
Hey, before we go into our main topic today, let's do a round of how's everybody doing? Dread, that was a really good poem. Do you write these now, or have you started writing your own limericks now? I'd recommend it. I think yours would be particularly clever. Yeah. I think you're gonna have a good time. JW, it's been a while since you've been on the show. I'm glad you're here. What's going on? You're getting hairier by the week, by the way, too.
Yes, I've decided to just grow out my hair and my beard and see what I can do with it. Just started a new job about a month ago. I was trying to get used to that schedule. So last week I was unavailable. Sorry about that. But I did end up still reposting the recording. So hopefully got you guys a few more views.
Hey, thanks. We appreciate that. And you know what I would say about our audience? Small but loving and very good with attention, because the average time that's being watched on these radio shows is around 40 minutes or so, which is insane as far as YouTube goes. Dread, what do you got to add?
Good girl.
Good morning.
Good morning, man.
Like I said, very, very nice, very polite group. I'm happy with this. I don't want to draw in extra hate or anything like that. I want to keep this like an exclusive club of nice folks watching us per week. Dale, you look relaxed. You look particularly cool as a cucumber. What's going on?
Nothing. The only news I have is that I've decided to convert to atheism.
Hey. Some would say you were already there.
Almost brought a tear to my eye.
But hey, welcome.
Congratulations.
So George, hey, what's going on with you? How I don't see an arm brace around you anymore.
That's right. I'm recovering very well, very nicely.
Nice.
And I want to report that here in the middle of of Eastern Tennessee, between Knoxville and Chattanooga, square between them, my occupational therapist reads the New York Times
Nice.
every
Nice.
day, and I'm tickled about that. I
Cool.
really am.
What is it about the New York Times that you find particularly nice? Because it's not like it's a local newspaper. Like they mostly talk about world events anyway. So like, what is the appeal?
Oh, it's just that I grew up reading it, and
Sure.
and it's I like the paper. I mean, it's been wayward at times and seems to always come back.
Nice.
It's a paper that I'm comfortable with and I trust mostly.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a point of connection. And I appreciate that.
And the fact that somebody here in Athens, Tennessee actually reads it just blows me away.
Yeah. Hey, so Larry, we're going to throw this out at you. How'd your biking trip go since last week?
Well, I haven't been out on the bike.
Get on the bike.
A short run around in the neighborhood, down to Solway and back, which is about a 10-mile drive.
Just enough to wake up all the people on night shift and all the dogs.
Oh no, I don't get it out.
Stuff.
I don't get it out at night, and I don't keep it out late. Matter of fact, lately I don't keep it out till after dark. So
nice, cool. How you been otherwise?
Oh, fine, good for an old guy. Needing a haircut.
No, I think you're looking good. So I want to throw up the topic of why life is important. Dread Pirate, you want to lead that? Yeah. Or a fly like last week, right? Needle. Oh, this is a very heady topic. Okay. So when I first heard this topic, I was generally thinking of like, hey, we talked about death. Let's bring it up a little bit positive and say like, hey, life is important. But I feel like that could be like a very superficial kind of talk, because I think most people would agree, hey, lives are important, though there are people who protest against it. I think we can all agree that everyone's life is just as important as everyone else's. And man, what a struggle it is just to let people even know that. But in general, we do have an appreciation for, being well versus being sick, and extending the quality of our lives. And if we can, the quantity of it as well. But what do we use as a line to justify like versus like killing bugs versus like veganism, stuff like that? Oh, that's an interesting topic. Could you condense that to a couple of questions? Maybe we'll go around the table and
let me throw one.
Yeah, like what's the main good first question that you'd want to deal with this topic? Okay.
And which lives? Which animal lives? Like in some societies, they eat dog, and that would be a no-no.
Okay. Sure. Let's go. Larry, what do you think first as like, which lives do you think are most important, and how do you distinguish that?
Well, I think in broad general rules, if they have intelligence, or the more intelligence that they have, the more importance we give to them. If they're mammals, of course, they mean more to us than non-mammals. They have higher ranking in our estimation. I think, Are they like us? Or are they not like us? And how much is the difference?
Yeah. Like I will be the first to admit that we have a very human centric point of view with regard to the importance of life, but we are humans. And I have no problem being on team human. I'm sorry, dolphins. I like humans more. So like, I know, right? You'll figure it out eventually. But I do think Larry's right on the point. Like we have a hierarchy of animals based on like their close relationship to us, like intelligence, vertebrate, mammal, all that stuff. And as you go down the list, we find that the further away you are from the classification that leads you towards, Homo
and how well they relate to us too,
because some animals
don't relate to us at all.
The further we're like, okay, we can turn them into food. They can be food, but these guys can be pets. These guys can be our best friends. These we can marry, right? Like we have that. George, what do you think? How do we determine what life is from?
Well, authoritarians, dictators over the centuries have liked to make us versus them comparisons to their followers, and they like to refer to the outsiders as animals, and therefore it's okay to slaughter them. And
this is sounding spookily familiar to
something
current.
yeah. Not only that, but it also old stuff that you can find that in the Bible too, or it's just. I mean, a lot of the phrases in the Bible are not even for your white suburban guy from Colorado. They're talking about ancient Hebrews, and the people they're talking against are the people who are fighting against the Hebrews. We've just compartmentalized it to belong to us. But George, I'm sorry for stepping on your point, but yeah, you're right. There is a lot of dehumanization by leaders in politics. Yeah.
I watched my neighbor across the street.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we
One
go.
day your neighbor across the street's going to watch this show and he's going to be like, who is this guy?
You gotta send him the show.
Yeah. I know he's talking about me every week.
Yeah, I noticed how compassionate he is toward animals. Very loving towards animals, and yet is very much against people he doesn't know. As an automatic response, the stories that he hears on wherever he gets his stories from.
Yeah, well, Fox News doesn't put out stories against Cardinals.
That's where I was going.
Every day. Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah. Fox News doesn't put out stories against Blue Jays like on a 24/7 basis. So like you're ingrained to work better with a blank slate than you are something that's poisoned water, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's a warped view of thinking that those you do care about are under threat from those strangers that you mentioned. So some people think that, I don't know, it's just kind of a combination of being empathetic toward the ones you care about and antagonistic toward the ones that are different. I don't know. It's definitely a complex situation.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Dale, I'd love to get your way in on this. Like, how do you determine what life is important or like worth supporting, worth fighting for? Like, what do you use as a determinator for this is something that's important to me, that's a living being? Like bacon, I'll eat it, but human bacon, no, I'm not eating that. Why am I eating human bacon? Like, do you have like a line? Just like, how do you determine the line?
Still frozen again?
I don't.
Anything's on the table.
This is such a general subject that I'm going off in all different kinds of directions. I can say this: we like our dog, we love our dog. The dog is sentient. We eat the pig. The pig is sentient. So there's really no difference there. So it's just a bunch of hypocrisy. And as far as valuing human life, if we vote in leaders who obviously are racist and who are more concerned about the stock market than they are about hundreds of thousands of people dying, then all it is a big conundrum, and it just goes round and round.
When we don't act on our own self-interest, it ends up hurting everybody. And yeah, you're right. There is really not much of a distinction between pig and dog. Like, it's a very facile level of of a barrier that we say, oh, this is different from this. Like, no, they're really basically the same. I've had 2 pet pigs. I've raised 2 as part of 4-H. Worcester pigs. One was a black one, and they knew their own name. And I remember the first day we met the pigs, agriculture commissioner's office came to us, was like, that's Wilbur and that's Raven or something. It's like, Raven, go here, Wilbur, go through that gate. And the pigs split and just literally did exactly what the guy said. And I'm like, oh wow, these things are smart and delicious. I still eat pork. I don't care. But you know what? Some people eat dogs too, and I'm like, I won't. I've had coyote jerky before, and that made me sad because I was like, I didn't know they were dogs. Like, don't feed me dogs. But in the head, I'm like, why am I making such a weird, ambiguous distinction about this? Dread, you want to say something? Mm. 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 Well, Dred, I'm going to touch on this. Question for you. There is the idea of, if left unregulated, these deer can not only grow so much that they harm their own populations, but hurt human populations as well, and need to be culled. Right. Right. Mm. Yeah, like French fries from McDonald's and stuff. Yeah. I don't want to see that video, George. Go for it.
What is a humane way of culling deer, Dred?
A bolt gun. Ah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Way too much detail for me.
In a weird way, we do cull dogs as well, because that's not a population that we can control. We have like these things called pounds and humane societies that say there's too many dogs, not enough people want to take care of them, and they can't be left in the wild. So we cull dogs as well. Oh, not to the same order that we do with pigs, but pigs, if left on their own, would also turn into wild feral boars, destroy our agriculture, and we can't have that happen. So we have to domesticate them. And there's an infrastructure in place to feed people, because we don't have an alternative that can sustain 7 billion people. So like we have made definitely an impact on Earth on a natural level that we have to compensate with industry, infrastructure, and maybe rules that aren't necessarily non-hypocritical, but they are the rules that we have right now. Doesn't mean that we can't get them better. And I think it is worth thought to think about, what can we do to make this process at least more humane, you know?
I'd like to address something that Dread Pirate Higgs said. I'm sure he didn't mean it this way, but he said deer have 2 children, or 2 fawns every season, with the idea that one of them will die. Of course, he's really talking about evolution and evolutionary processes, which there's no goal in sight. If deer were one of those species that only had one child or one fawn in the environment that they used to live in, then these species would have died out. If they had had more than two, then they probably would not have been able to sustain giving them, raising them to adulthood like they do with two. That would cost them too much energy in the process, and they would have died out as a species. It's just a way of natural selection that has honed them to have two children or two fawns at one time. It's exactly right. There's no idea involved.
Sure.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, there are some real deer consequences with being a doe. J.W. Kennedy, I'm going to throw a question out at you. What do you think about plant life? Is plant life important? Say we could, for example, avoid having to make burgers out of cows, but instead of killing one cow, we have to kill 10,000 plants in order to make the same patty. Like we kill like 10,000 lima beans or whatever.
Well, I'd have to see the data on that and the models just to see if we're consuming more than we should, and what are the dangers of running out of food in that particular aspect. But
I guess let me throw this out. I know it's a biased hypothetical, but I'm just saying, like, what if we could replace protein or animal meat with a facsimile of plant meat or plant protein, but we just have to kill way more plants? We could do it sustainably, but the lives of plants will by orders of magnitude be killed on a more frequent basis.
Well, I think it would be significantly more moral because the plants don't have a nervous system.
Interesting. Ooh, but they have a life. Yeah.
Yes,
do plant lives matter? Yeah.
I think we also have to consider, we are a part of nature, and we do have a job to win if we want our species to continue.
I love when you're on the show.
It's a hard question.
No, that's such a great quote. We're a part of nature, and we have a job to win. Like that. That's nature. That's totally true.
Yeah,
Dale.
So we got to find that balance of winning and also caring for what's here. So
I love that. That's a perfect answer. Dale, what do you have?
You can grow more plants, and I rarely hear talking about killing a plant unless you're talking about your rose bush. If you're talking about a cornfield, my grandpa never said anything about he was going to kill his corn.
Yeah, like we just gotten so used to it that.
Do you think it's another one of those hypocritical situations, Dale?
Yeah,
absolutely not. Plants, their destiny is to be eaten, to be consumed. As a matter of fact, a lot of plants.
Yeah. All right, and for some plants, it's beneficial for them to be consumed because birds eat certain seeds and
they make parts to be eaten, but the wholesale killing of them.
One thing brings us to mind. My brother used to have an aversion to using paper towels. He says, with the population of the world and everybody using paper towels, every time you like pull one off the roll, it's like blowing up a tree. That much tree goes into the paper. But he didn't.
That's not true. That's not true.
The thing about it is he didn't consider the trees are a renewable resource, and that people make their living by growing trees so they can make paper towels. But it's still at the same time, it gets us back to the question of the validity and of life itself and what rights trees would have. But I just thought that was funny, and I thought I'd inject it.
I'd like to interject just one last thing. We actually know for a fact that in some ways, plant cells are way more complex than any other kind of mammal cell or protobacteria cell. So like there are things called bacteria, and they're inside our bodies even, and they have one more or less set of DNA that's in their nucleus. We have two. We have one that's in our nucleus and one that's in something called the mitochondria. You might have heard of it as like the powerhouse of the cell. A long, long time ago, mitochondria were their own little tiny little bugs, independent, and they were hanging around single-celled organisms like other bacteria, and they fused, and those cells later became the complex eukaryotic cells that we have in our bodies now. Like every cell in our body is
what do you
two
know
different.
about it?
Oh,
I thought you might mention your credentials.
No, I'm sorry. I'm a biochemist. I'm a PhD biochemist.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. So the cool thing is plants have three sets of cells. They have the nucleus DNA, they have mitochondria, and they have chloroplasts, or an organelle in their cells that are capable of using sunlight and turning that into energy too. They have three different kinds of DNA in each of their cells. And if an alien were to come down here and they'll be like, I'm looking for the most complex organism, they're looking at us and we're here like shoveling coal into like pots so that we can stay warm in the winter, and like killing plants just so we can eat them. And so like, we need to survive. We will literally die if we don't do anything for 3 days. Whereas plants are just like, hey man, I'm cool. I got a plant back there. He's just like, I'm literally just put water on me and put me in front of a window and I will live. I will outlive you.
Good point.
And that's all I need. And I'm like, the aliens are gonna be like, these are the guys we're bringing back on this shit.
Well, they say that the oldest living things on the planet on our planet is plants.
Yeah. Damn, you guys are making me hungry as hell.
So Dredd, you wanted to talk. I saw your eyes light up at the mention of destiny. Was there anything that you wanted to mention about that? The destiny of plants to be eaten.
I appreciate that you don't like the word destiny. However, destiny seems to fit here since they can't propagate without somebody eating them or something eating them. But I will say inevitable.
They'll finish. Dredd, let them finish. Go for it.
I will substitute the word inevitable in order not to bother you. Okay,
hey, that's not bad. I also say plants are pretty good at propagating without our help. They just don't do it as organized, but they can do it, and they have been doing it. They just their fruits don't look as big. As a result, they're like, I'm not trying to feed an entire human race. I'm just making enough for that tiny little bird to spread this one little seed. That's all I need. I'm very efficient. All right, guys, believe it or not, we're already at the bottom of the half hour. Isn't that crazy?
That is strange.
Larry, why don't you take us out?
Okay, this is Digital Free Thought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll be right back after this short break.
Cool. Guys, I'm going to turn off my microwave because it's beeping in the background, and then I'll be right back in like a couple of minutes, just like 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Define the word destiny.
Here's a summary from vocabulary.com. Destiny is what's meant to be, what's written in the stars, your inescapable fate. A noun meaning fate, destiny is synonymous with other nouns like divine decree, fortune, and serendipity. There's no avoiding destiny. It's going to happen no matter what you do.
All right.
There you go. You're right. I will not use that word anymore.
No, we did a whole show on it.
Well, I think you were kind of using it poetically anyway. I mean, not academic sense, but yeah.
Oh, Dredd.
Yeah.
Dredd. Did you know that there is a Pastafarian superhero now?
What?
Yes, there's 2 movies made up within apparently I think by Pastafarians. One is called Spaghetti Man, 2 words. That's about a spaghetti monster. And there's another movie called Spaghetti Man, 1 word. And this is where this guy who has the power of spaghetti goes around and fights crime with his sidekick, Dale. Now, you can, if you care to see this movie, and I watched it again a couple of days ago, it's actually very funny, but low budget. And you can get it on Vudu and Tubi. Or if you have a Roku, you can do a search on it and find it someplace you have to pay for it. But I watched it again the other. It's really good. He shoots spaghetti from his hands. And
I have a question. What happens when the bad guy throws him up against the wall?
Well, see, when the bad guys shoot him, spaghetti comes out, but then he automatically heals.
Cool. Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, he looks like a human being. He can walk around and all that, but he shoots.
Yeah, but is he al dente?
As a matter of fact, he killed one guy by shooting him in the brain with al dente spaghetti.
Wow. The bridge? Why the bridge?
Fridge.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the fridge. I heard it as the wall.
I've done the wall too.
Yeah.
I heard bridge.
I just put a timer on it and tasted it. That's what I did. But I guess I could
no one
test
throws
it.
away good food. All right. So you guys ready to come back?
Yep.
Heck
All right.
yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys. Larry, I'm gonna give you a 3 count.
Okay.
Starting recording. 3, 2.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of the Digital Free Thought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LPFM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today is August 30th, 2020. Let's talk about the free thought groups that you can join right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. First, there's the Atheist Society of Knoxville, founded in 2002. We're in our 18th year now with over 1,000 members. You can find us online by searching for Knoxville Atheist or go to knoxvilleatheist.org. By the way, it's if you live in Knoxville, you should still go to the meetup and search for it and join us there. Don't find a group in your town?
Start one.
Start one.
Right. Another large free thinking group here in Knoxville are Rationalists of East Tennessee. To find them, go to rationalist.org and click on their upcoming events. Earlier in the show, we said we'd talk about Knoxville Atheist call-in TV shows. Well, it's really more of a streaming online show now, but it was on the TV for 10 years. It's called
Steve Urkel is my favorite character. He was really, really great.
Free Thinkers United Coalition of Knoxville, online YouTube streaming. You can also find those 10 years of archives of the TV show by going to YouTube and search for Free Thought Forum Knoxville. And if you're interested in getting involved in the TV or the radio show, just come to our pages. There's a Facebook page for either one of them, Rationalists of East Tennessee or AASK, and join us there. Let us know you'd like to be part of the show. With us on the show today, we have the Wombat, J.W. Kennedy, George,
Howdy.
and Dread Pirate Higgs, and Red Leader. Where do we want to pick up?
So I want to talk about Netflix because I was watching a really, really interesting movie called The Incredibles. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. There's a really cool character called Iceman, and there's a really funny scene where he's looking for a super suit, and he's like looking for a super suit.
Where's my super suit?
He goes to his wife, and he's like, "Where's the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love." Guys, we're gonna go over some fan. I
love
feel
from
weird
our
saying,
fans.
Yeah, I feel weird saying that, but like, there's so many great places for you to reach out to us, and I just want to make sure that I have pulled it up. Give me a second. I'll edit this appropriately.
Yeah, my son-in-law, whenever he gets mail, doesn't matter if it's a bill or whatever, he says, "Oh, they love me. They write me all the time. They send me love."
Right. So we had some great feedback from Nathan Matthews, who watched our last show when we were talking about death in a good way. Nathan Matthews writes, "Great talk. We can all benefit from discussing death more often. I learned some new things thanks to Dread Pirate Higgs, things like compunction and Jack Kevorkian. Some of my family and friends cling to their religion for comfort in their afterlife. Ignoring that faulty reasoning, my experience has been contrary to this. I had constant fear of whether I was going to go to a good afterlife due to the lack of a consensus on the rules. Now, being an atheist, death no longer carries that threatening unknown. Death is simply the end for me. It gives me appreciation for the time that I have." And thank you very much for that comment. That was really great.
Very good.
Dread, do you have anything from our streamers or watching the show live on YouTube? How do we know that? Sorry. Right.
Well, we know that because they don't have a central nervous system. They don't have any kind of location.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, if you don't have nerves, you don't have feelings. Everybody knows that. It's like,
a way to process them.
You'd be surprised. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but they're like free floating cells. I mean, the entire hive, don't they? I mean, can't they act as an entity by themselves? The hive
Yeah,
itself.
there's actually some pretty individualistic ants that are out there. I would say
Bees.
this though, there's one more love and respect thing I want to go for. I recently did a college lecture for Dalton State College. That was, I believe, last Tuesday, and I gave a presentation on street epistemology, or how to talk to anyone about anything. I'll post a link to that in this YouTube channel, but I also got some really good feedback on that as well from the members in that college class that I had over Zoom, along with on YouTube. And thank you everyone for those comments. We need to dedicate a show where we just do listener feedback. I think it would be good. Maybe next time, maybe next one will just be listener feedback. Catch up on it. But thank you guys for it. Please continue posting or leaving comments. We'll go over them over the show. All right. So were we debating on whether or not organisms that don't have a central nervous system can respond to external stimuli? Was that what we were discussing? Because that is an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Plants.
So,
plants, definite. A lot of plants can respond to external stimuli. If they're attacked by certain bugs, they can put out certain pesticide or pest
pheromones,
repelling things.
Yeah. Some
there are also plants that there are also plants that have trees. I'm thinking of pecan trees right here, where they have a sort of an umbra where they can control the incursion of other plants so that they can keep more water and all. They do respond to their environment. Plants have to, or they would not have evolved as they would. We didn't have flowering plants for millions of years, but now they have used an evolutionary strategy in order to propagate themselves. And one of the things that here in East Tennessee, we may know of as being very successful at that is kudzu.
Is that bluegrass? No, that's the vines that grow over everything, right?
Everything.
Houses, other trees, everything, right? They're incredibly invasive plant that just comes out of everywhere. George, looks like you're doing jazz hands. Did you want to say something?
I'm stretching. Sorry, guys. I'm doing my exercise.
Stretching in frame. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think someone had mentioned ants and whether or not they can behave individualistically. There are, so like similar to bees, where some live in hives, there are species of bees that don't. There are species of bees that, like, more or less, carpentry bees, for example, more or less have very small families of just, like them, the spouse, literally, and their offspring in little holes in the wall. And and there are, like, of course, the murder hornets that are going on right now, they act in hives, but there are individualistic hornets that aren't necessarily as dangerous, though they unfortunately get killed as frequently as what we perceive to be harmful invasive hornets. But there are organisms that are insectoid of that variety that live more or less on their own, know how to hunt, don't like people, have their own ways of, like, deterring pests, strategies that they have for attacking their prey. There's like compartmentalized thinking on their parts of, like, hey, I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it home, I'm going to put my babies in it, and I'm going to, like, wall off this section. I'm going to have the babies come out of this dead body because that's the way I propagate. But I have to plan for that. Like, I have to, like, wait in certain areas and stuff like that. I'm like, bees are also really cool too. I just love the fact that there's this animal that we have no problem eating their spit and packaging and selling it, and they have a communication that's based, they have a language that's based on dancing that we've already deciphered, and we know, like, oh, they fly in, they wiggle this way to point their initial direction, they turn to show how far you have to fly in that direction, then they vibrate really hard to show, I need 4 other people to come with me, like, I need 4 other bees to come with me, I need 6 more bees to come with me that direction, based off the sun settings. Like, you're so smart.
Fascinating.
Sign language would be so much more efficient.
Oh, they have 6 appendages. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't think we give things that don't have a central nervous system enough credit. I think it's nice to have it. We can definitely understand it better, but there's some cool things. Dirt Pirate, what do you got? Mm. Right. Right. Hmm. Yeah. I would argue one that the scale isn't serving us as far as like rationally determining what sentience is, and two, I would also say there's no real scale because no one knows what it's like to be a bat. Like we just have to assume based on the behavior of a bat what that bat's thinking.
And some species we totally ignore their intelligence, like pigs and stuff, and just go ahead and eat them anyway.
Oh man, yeah, and that's scary too. So sometimes we know pretty well, and we just don't care anyway. But yeah, I'll give my shout out to plants. There are still things that plants do today that we are reverse engineering, in particular, like when I was doing my work. There are redwood trees that are capable of drawing water from the ground up multiple hundred feet straight up into the air, just from a capillary effect. Like we have a very good understanding of how the capillary effect works. And there's a point where gravity will offset the benefit of that force. Like there's no way that you can capillarily force water up that high. Yet plants figured that out. And we are still trying to figure out how that's possible. Like, is it an ion charge that they're displacing? Like what's going on inside this tree that's doing this? And I guarantee you there's some really great research articles out now that's still like, we don't know how trees work. They must be actively doing something that when you kill them, they don't do anymore. So
now
like,
how's
it work? George, what's up?
Well, I'm getting hungry listening to all of this, and so
go get some food.
What my mind
let's just
goes
talk about
to
food
is
for the next
okay. So what am I going to do when I go to the supermarket? That's the bottom line here.
Yeah. I can tell you, I've been trying to eat more healthy now that I've realized, I am getting older. It'd be nice if I put less chemicals in my body, like less candy, less processed stuff like that. I don't think I'd go full vegan, but I can definitely change the kinds of meats that I'm eating. Like I can stay away from like the sausage and pick more like fish and stuff like that.
Have you ever done any research on the Mediterranean diet?
No, talk to me about it. Like
I read this book and I recommend it to everybody. It's Eat, Drink, and Be Healthy by I may be getting the name wrong, but the name of the book is right, but the name of the author I might get wrong. Dr. Mitchell Willits, I believe. And basically it's all science-based stuff. He divides the bullcrap from the truth. And he is very supportive of Mediterranean or plant-based diet. He's plant-based himself, but he still says the benefits of chicken and fish. And that's simply Mediterranean. You got high in monosaturated and polysaturated fats, low in sugar, low in bad carbs. There's just a lot of good stuff. And he's basically, most of the book is supporting why the Mediterranean diet is one of the healthiest diets and how it matches up with what we've learned in science and long-term studies, which is important.
What I'd be interested in seeing is if there is a anti-killing diet. Like I would like to talk to the Jainists and see if they figured out a way to just eat things that are naturally produced from animals without culling them, like milk or fruits, stuff like that. Dred, what do you have? Soylent Green is from soy. You have to kill soybeans to make Soylent Green.
No,
you mean just people? You mean just people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That, not the product. Okay. Well, there's a product called Soylent Green. Yeah. You could eat. So you could. What if you ate already dead things? Would that be moralistically any way better? I think we're off on a real wide tangent. I want to talk about something that I wanted to bring up after the half of the show. I want to do a quick roundtable on the weirdest things you've heard. I know this is a bit targeting, but the weirdest things you've heard from Christians that now that everyone here is an atheist, you can look back and be like, what? What? I believe that. And
where does one begin?
Yeah, I know. I'll throw mine out under the hat. I remember when I was in high school, I was telling and I was a hardcore Christian back then. Well, as hardcore as you could be when you didn't know anything aside from just trying to impress your parents and stuff like that. But there was a show called Powerpuff Girls, and I made it a well-known fact about me that I did not watch the show because there was a bad guy in Powerpuff Girls who looked like the devil. And he had little lobster hands and a red face. And I was like, I don't watch this show because there's the devil in that show. So if people were talking about it, like the new movie coming out, I'd be like, oh, you like Powerpuff Girls? Well, I don't watch it because there's the devil in it. And I had my little Jesus lanyard and everything. The cringe. It made me feel so bad. All right. So I'm going to put people on the spot. I wish I hadn't done that. Well, yeah, I watched the show now, and it's an amazing cartoon, by the way. But Dread Pirate Higgs, is there anything that you would say craziest thing Christian says, even if it was you at the time? Okay. That's good. I love it. Yeah, straight to the point. Larry, I'm going to throw you under the bus. What do you have as like this one? Just doesn't have to be the most. Well, but like recently,
I'm just going for the most popular, the most I've heard, and the craziest at the same time. Why do you hate God? I always turn right around and say, why do you hate Spider-Man? Or why do you hate
why do you hate Spider-Man?
Santa Claus. Santa Claus.
Okay, you could say,
because how can you hate something you don't believe exists? I mean, they haven't even thought that far, and that I'm just trying to get them to maybe take that first step.
Also, for them, it's easier to equate you not believing with you just hating the thing that they believe, right? Like that worldview makes it a little easier for the palate.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Not only that, but I found that I have less reasons to hate other fictional beings than I do God. Like if God existed today, like you just proved it, I would not like that being if it was exactly as described in the Bible. But I don't have a reason to hate things that don't exist. So like by default, I don't. But if you did exist, I wouldn't like you. So I put my head on the shelf, but I'm not applying it right now. There's other things that I hate more that I have to deal with on a daily basis. JW, I'm going to throw this out at you. Craziest thing you've heard from a Christian, or even if it was from you, what do you got?
Well, back when I was religious, one of the things that for some reason it could have been because of childhood trauma, it could have been from fill in the blank, or just culturally or what I was used to, the self-degradation of many religions, especially Christian religion. For some reason, the songs that I was attracted to, there was a lot of self-degradation in the songs and the sermons, and I just look back now of things that once brought me chills like a drug. Now I look back and think about them, it just churns my stomach. Like it's just so like, it's so obvious that it's rooted in self-hatred and unhealthy, and it's rampant in
you're right.
Abrahamic religions especially.
Oh yeah, my mom's Jehovah's Witness. She has tried to turn me on to her persuasion. She showed me like their music, and it's really, really old. It's like the exact kind of thing you would get from like an old Pentecostal church that played music off cassette tapes. It's like one of those kinds of genres of song, like the worst kind of Christian music. And all the lyrics are just, I'm so sick and you healed me. I was weak and you gave me strength. I was bad and you were good for me. I suck and you were amazing. Like, why would you sing that?
It's this really twisted, abusive relationship with an imaginary deity.
Yeah, why would you make kids sing that? That's so bad. Like,
or washed in the blood, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really messed up. Anyway, but that's a great pull, JW. George, you were born an atheist, so I'm sorry, of course you were born an atheist. Everyone was, but like you never really had the religious brainwashing Have you still heard weird things from Christians that made you go like, huh, whoa, what's that all about? Especially now that you're in Tennessee.
Oh, of course I have.
What do you got?
I was in the supermarket before my operation and wearing my mask amidst a few people who weren't. And
sure.
Coming toward me in the supermarket was a woman also wearing a mask. And she said to me, "Are you having a blessed day?" And I replied, "No, I'm not." The words just flew out of my mouth.
Whoa.
It happens every once in a while that I fail to censor myself.
Did you follow it up with, "And I'm walking over you. What are you doing?"
Oh, well, she said something else. She said, "Well, I hope you do later."
She sounds like a sweet lady, though. Yeah,
I am, and that's it. I mean, I don't know how to respond to this stuff.
I think of it as like if I was in Roman times, right? Like if I took time traveling back to Roman times and I was going to go on the river or walk on like next to a coast or go on a boat, and one of the locals was like, "Poseidon be with you." Like he's giving me just his worldview's best shot at me saying, "Hey, see you later, man." Like that's how they compartmentalize it. So like that's how I sort of deal with it. It's just like, you're just telling me how I have a good day in Christian language. But it could be offensive in the sense like I just got over Christianity. I know how much little tenure there is in that in terms of truth. So like it sucks for me to hear that, but I can understand someone who's just from a culture being like, it's like, oh, okay, I'm in India. Like they're gonna say that. Like that's cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'll that
I haven't gotten used to this yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever will.
Well, I have a sister who's Muslim, and she will tell me things like salam. There's like a lot of sayings. Oh man, why can't I remember any of them? Anyway, there's sayings that's like God willing, God be with you, stuff like that. And I will say them back to her because for me, like it's just not vanilla ice cream anymore. It's just like, this is kind of new. But I don't, I don't believe it. I'm glad I don't believe it, and we can share these things back and forth as an atheist and a Muslim. I'm happy
maybe that's what we have to do. Maybe that makes the most sense. I mean, as I see it right now, we are probably already living in a police state here in the United States.
Yeah, we've been there.
And
I'm glad white people are understanding that now. We've been there for a while.
Okay, well that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's not cool, but it is here.
However, what my point is that maybe we're there and we're going to be there for a long time. And,
I hope not. Yeah.
But what I'm reflecting on about that is that intellectual people have existed and survived under dictatorships in the past. So I guess we're all going to survive.
Maybe we'll do the best we can. Yeah. And it won't be without fighting for good causes. Dredd, what do you have? We got 8 minutes left in the show. What do you think? Sure. Yeah, if you got the time for it. Also, I have no problem first letting people know that I'm an atheist and then still saying bless you just so that they know like, oh, atheists say it too. Now I'm not going to assume Christians are the only people who say it, so that when I hear bless you, I still have to guess on whether or not they go to my church or some other church nearby. Keep them thinking.
I may assume that you're asking
I like to say
Satan to bless
or
them.
Praise the Seven. You can say that too. I've been getting into some Game of Thrones stuff. Dale, I want to save the best for last. I know that you've actually been compelled, based on things that you've heard from Christians, to even write a book on the subject. Not to force your answer, but like, has there been weird things that Christians have said that made you want to respond to them in some sort of published format?
I have several examples in the book, but you has asked for an example of something a preacher has said that is odd.
Sure.
Just recently, within the past 3 months, I think it was about 3 months ago, one minister was talking about the deaths from coronavirus. And he said, well, death for us, for Christians, and for me, death is an old friend. And
Wow.
I was thinking, wow, so death should be an old friend. Oh, by the way, 3 of his congregation died shortly thereafter. So if that's the sort of 81% of the evangelicals went for Trump, and if this is the way that they're going to ignore the stuff he's doing by just being hypocritical about their religion, maybe that's a good idea that we should notice that at least.
You know, and also I'll throw this out as we head to the end of the show. Have you made any sort of writing, like a paper thingy, like a thing that you do this and there's like stuff in it? Like, is there anything like that that you're responsible for that you put out on the world? Dale,
For someone who
do I have to
doesn't
plug this for you?
I don't write anymore.
No, he doesn't write anymore. So don't
But
go to
you
his
have.
website. We don't have to talk about it. What's the thing that you wrote about miracles?
If Jesus was a magician of his time, my book describes how he could do his miracles from the coming back from the dead, even putting the ear miracle, the wine to water, the walking on water.
And where will
All
we
of
find
it, the
it?
Bible clearly says. Well,
Yeah.
Larry's read it. The Bible clearly says how the tricks were done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
wow.
It's found at.
And where can we find it?
HowJesusDidIt.com.
Nice.
Very
Very
good.
cool. Dread Pirate, where can we find your stuff at? Nice.
Ah, damn it, I missed it. It's already half
Hey,
over.
no cursing. Oh my gosh, look at you. Wordy dirty. Guess who's on mute for the rest of the show? Hey,
Damn,
Larry,
it's okay.
what is going on? What we'll do you next? JW Kennedy, what do you got?
I got JW Kennedy on YouTube and Speak Your Beautiful Mind on YouTube. You can follow me at JWK Hates the News on Twitter, and you can follow me at Your Beautiful Mind, spelled UR, on Twitter, and that's the Speak Your Beautiful Mind page, which is content coming soon. I know I say that every week, but I promise you, it's coming.
Hey,
And
content.
I'll be the first to tell y'all. So
You don't owe content to anybody. I'll say that
but I
first and
feel
foremost.
like I do.
Yeah. You don't. You can put out as much as you want, and people will keep wanting more, but you're doing this out of a love. You're doing this out of your own hobby. And when it comes out, it comes out. And that's it. Your audience should respect your time as much as you yourself, right? So yeah, keep an eye out. Just subscribe in the meanwhile, and when it comes out, you'll be ready for it. My channel is called Let's Chat. I recently put up my lecture for Dalton State College. It's now a series. I did a talk with them last year for a different class. And I'll probably doing a similar lecture for Dread Pirate Higgs when he starts his teaching as well. And then now that planes are beginning to open up more, at least in the United States, I will tentatively, a couple of months from now, start doing more long distance in-person chats. So looking forward to that too. George, what would you recommend aside from the New York Times for people to check out, learn stuff about? What's something cool that
I've
we should check out?
On our Tuesday meeting, I mentioned a book called American Nations, and I think Canada's in there too. It's about the 11 different dominant cultures that have evolved and come to the United States and part of Canada as well, sort of forming the diverse, often warring people who we are.
Nice.
And
very cool. What's the name of the book again?
American Nations.
American
Nations. And it's
Nations.
about, as a matter of fact,
while George is talking to himself,
written by Colin Woodward, published in
Colin
2011.
American Nations. We got a couple of minutes left in the show. Larry, what's cool about you? Did you write a book? Because I really want to know what atheism is all about, and I don't know where I can find out what atheism is all about. Is there something I can put into Google to find out where atheism is and what it's all about?
Yeah, if you could Google atheism, what's it all about? You might come up with my book. It's available on Amazon.
And
did you ever give me a copy of that book, by the way? Like, how long do I have to know you before I just get a free copy of that book?
Another week.
And you can also use a search engine which does not surveil you, such as
DuckDuckGoose?
DuckDuckGo and
there you go.
Xquick, which
Very
is
cool.
now called Start Page.
Cool. Oh, by the way, howjesusdidit.com is free to read online, and I recommend it highly.
Nice.
Be sure to visit my blog at digitalfreethought.com. We have all of our radio show archives there, atheist songs, articles on the subject of atheism. If you'd like to listen to prior shows, all of our podcasts are available through iTunes, Stitcher, luminarypodcast.com, or digitalfreethought.com. If you have any questions for the show, you can send them to us via email at askanatheist@knoxvilleatheist.org, and we'll answer them on future shows. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and be notified when new episodes are posted. And remember, everybody is going to somebody else's hell. The time to worry about it is when they prove that heavens and hells and souls are real. Until then, don't sweat it. Enjoy your life. George, you had something to say before we finally say bye?
You are going to somebody else's hell.
No, we all are, according to the religions of the world.
Sure, fair enough.
Join us again next Wednesday at 7 o'clock on WOZO Radio for another Digital Free Thought Radio Hour. Until then, say bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Stay rational.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Did we skip Dread Pirate for asking where content is? Or
No, he gives his live stream and his YouTube channel. He was the second one up.
Oh, okay. I must